That's why I've said this in the past. Evil is not conscious. Evil is the opposite of conscious. When you're conscious, you cannot be evil. Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the channel. My name is Mars Molina, and I am a professor of yoga and spirituality, and I use these and other tools such as Jyotish and more to support our lives, to guide our lives through truth in a practical way, to achieve what it is that complements us, what it is that brings harmony and alignment, and of course, whether that's in physical health, mental health, emotional health, financial health, or anything that can really take our lives to the next level. And today, I hope I don't get too wet because we have a bit of a drizzle going on, but it's fine enough that I feel comfortable still outside. So if all goes well, I can finish my video here today. Today's video, I want to talk about Saturn and use it as a tool to understand how, sorry, getting a notification here, how we can become more responsible for our own lives and how we can become more responsible for our minds. And the reason why I choose Saturn as a conduit to talk about this is merely to set a few examples. But whether you are into astrology, Vedic astrology or not, I really encourage you to stay and watch this video because it's more about the message. It's more about the spiritual guidance that we can receive if we talk about what it is that is going on and what it is that can be represented by these things. And I'm sure that by the end of it, you'll have something to tell people about this video. And of course, if this video resonates with you, if it is exciting, informative, useful, if it gives you some reflection, something to think about, and hopefully something that you can put into practice to further help your life, then I would greatly appreciate if you like, share, subscribe, comment. It helps a lot when you like and leave a comment and you tell people about the video and share the video. It means the world to me and it helps a lot through the algorithm and all these things. So please make sure that you do that. So let's begin talking about Saturn. And again, this is an open video for you, even if you are not in astrology, even if you're not into any of these things, even if you just want to have a better understanding of yourself, have a better understanding of your mind, then this video is for you. See, the first thing I want to say is that Saturn has a bad rap. It has a bad reputation, and not just Vedic astrology, but all kinds of astrology. Perhaps in Vedic astrology, a little bit less so, I'd like to think, because in the sources that I've studied and the teachers that I've been lucky enough to find throughout my life in Vedic astrology, they are able to tell you things as they are, and of course they are able to cast away any negative, shallow, bad reputation that Saturn has, or any other planet for that matter. Now, why is it that Saturn has a bad reputation? It tells you a lot about how people feel and how people think. So bear with me here. Why does Saturn have a bad reputation? It has a bad reputation because Saturn represents fear. It represents obstacles. It represents delays. Already, just by saying this, you may recognize, if you're conscious enough, if you're aware enough in this moment with me, if you're present enough, that these things tend to have a negative connotation in the majority of people in the world. Fear, delay, obstacle. If you yourself feel like you have that cast illusion, that cast notion that these are negative things, then you, more than anyone, should watch this video. And like I mentioned before, you may actually get something really beautiful out of it, really powerful out of it. It is easy to understand why Saturn has a bad reputation. I think we can all agree. However, when we're talking about truth and when we really boil it down, fear, delay, let's just focus on those two for now. Are they really negative things? Are they really bad? Do they not actually have a key, crucial role in your lives that can help you steer your life in the right direction? Think about it. Is fear bad? It can even be seen as an enemy. That's totally fine. But does that mean that fear should be something that we perceive as really obstructive, as Negative. What about delays? Doesn't fear tell you that you are breaking comfort? Doesn't fear, when you really think about it, allow you to go to the next level? Don't obstacles become things that we can race beyond? Don't they allow us to grow more? Don't delays challenges and allow us to go deeper, dig deeper, and understand also that things come at the right time? So right now it's raining more. We'll see how long I can last here because it's getting a little bit more drizzle. So, okay, we had to do a bit of a location change because the rain got really, really bad. And of course, that also comes with a wardrobe change so that the editors and the producers are happy and we increase production value of these videos. So it is understandable why someone can acquire this negative notion, this negative opinion about Saturn because of what it represents. But it is more important to understand that anytime you adopt a negative opinion or a negative notion, a negative idea about a planet, or really anything at all in your life, and it happens subconsciously, meaning you didn't realize, you didn't notice when that happened, or you don't get to the core of it. What you are doing is that you are dishonoring, in this case, that planet, or you're dishonoring that. And I'll go into examples also in a little bit. And because you are dishonoring it, further down the line, this will have a negative, adverse effect in your life that you can't escape, that you cannot avoid. And when you need that the least, it will spring back in action for you to deal with. And it is coincidentally also when you need to benefit the most from that with which you created the negative opinion. So when we talk about Saturn, for example, if we want to break it down in a more practical sense, which I'll also go into some examples soon, if you acquire a negative opinion about Saturn because you have a bad relationship with fear, with obstacles, with discipline, with patience, with service, because you have a bad relationship with you have that negativity in you. You have acquired a negative relation with these things. Let me ask you right now, do you remember when that started in your life? For the vast majority of you, you will not actually be able to pinpoint and say, yes, I remember exactly the moment that I decided to have a bad relationship with responsibility, that I decided to have a bad relationship with discipline, where I started seeing discipline as a negative thing, as a punishment, instead of a beautiful, powerful thing. You need discipline in this life. You cannot grow, you cannot achieve your goals, your dreams without it. You cannot achieve your goals, your dreams without Saturn. And when you need this blessing of Saturn, this power of Saturn, the most, when you need it the most, this is when the challenge will come. But also dealing with this adverse effect that I've been speaking about. And when you need to deal with that the least, when you say, I cannot deal with it, that is when it will show up. So it comes hand in hand. When you need that obstacle the least, it'll come. And when you need that benefit the most, it'll come. Only because you, without you realizing, subconsciously, unconsciously, adopted a negative idea, a negative notion about Saturn, or once again, about anything at all. Let's make a practical example. Police officers. If you have a bad relationship with police officers, when a cop car passes by, when a police officer passes by, and you feel some kind of way, you have a bad relationship with it. First of all, it is not because that person is a bad thing. It is not because they are a negative thing. You don't know that person. You don't know if they're a good cop. You have no idea. The only negativity there is you. You have to be responsible for it. And when you will observe that if you have fostered a bad relationship with policemen, when you need them to bother you the least, when you're actually doing something that you should not be doing, they will somehow just notice, feel it, and you will be followed, you will be pursued, you will catch their attention. It is law, it is automatic, it is the dynamics of attraction that you have created. You have created a negative relationship to it, so it attracts that. Now, when you need to benefit with them the most and you need to ask for their help, if you have a negative relationship with police officers, you still have to deal with the negativity that you have set in your life. And it's kind of a sad thing if you, again, didn't realize When and where you started having a bad opinion about them. Think about it. I am making that particular example because police are very closely related to Mars, which is an important aspect to understand if you really want to get to that rhythm of Saturn. These two planets, Mars and Saturn, need to come together. But you can make it about any example. You can make that example about your father. Any negative notion, any negative opinion that you have about your own father, when you need that the least in your life, you're going to have to deal with it. And when you need the benefit of your father or a father figure or an authority figure the most in your life, when you need that the most, you will not be able to avoid the negativity that you have planted in your life. Do you understand the message? So, Saturn is not a negative thing, even though it represents things that may, let's say, challenge us to some level. What a beautiful thing it is to be human and to be challenged. But just because it represents those things, it doesn't mean that it's a negative thing. And any astrologer that sees Saturn as an adverse thing is making a grave mistake and is guiding the people that they themselves are providing readings or consultations or anything for into a very negative place, into a very bottleneck location. You will not be able to escape. You have to deal with this somewhere down the line. That is my promise to you. Anything that you have a negative opinion about, anything at all that you have a negative opinion about, my promise to you is that you will not be able to escape and you will have to deal with it until you realize that you are not meant to have a negative opinion about it. A negative opinion, understand what I'm saying. It's not that you are not discerning, but it is for you to understand that you are the only one responsible for whether it's a negative thought, a negative opinion or not in your own existence. How strong are you to foster, cultivate, and protect your psychic field that just any intruder can come and plant an idea in you? Sometimes people will not even try to plant a negative opinion in you about your father, or about cops, or about the government, or about spirituality, or about yogis, or about this, or about that, or that group of people, or this group of people, or that food, eating like this, working out like that. That is the non-conscious way. That's why I've said this in the past. Evil is not conscious. Evil is the opposite of conscious. When you're conscious, you cannot be evil. Good and evil are part of creation. But the more conscious you are, the further you move away from it in that spectrum. So my invitation to you is to reflect on anything that you have a negative opinion about. Whether it's a group of people, whether it's a country, whether it's whatever it may be. And understand that that is making you primitive and that is creating some lack of responsibility in your life. Also, it is something that, like I said, you will not be able to avoid in this lifetime, my friend. That's my promise to you. You're going to have to deal with it. Once you identify where it is that you hold these negative notions, you train yourself to observe yourself, observe your thoughts, observe your mind keenly every day, all throughout the day, and notice, what do you have a negative relationship with? See if you can pinpoint exactly when that happened. Once again, for most of you, and for most of the things that you have negative opinions of, you don't remember where you acquired it. Unless something very stark and very perhaps traumatic happened, maybe then you can identify. But guess what? It doesn't matter. Even if you can tell me, oh, I remember it was 1964 and something happened, and ever since that happened, I feel negative about this and that. I feel negative about sadness. When people are sad, I make that about myself, and therefore, I can neither harvest the benefit of sadness, nor can I deal with sad situations. And my friend, that's a sad thing. We need to overcome. We need to experience sadness, and then we need to overcome it. We need to harvest the benefit of sadness, and we also need to deal with the adverse effects of sadness. Again, when you need it the least, it'll come. And when you need the benefit the most, that's when you need to do the challenge. There is no escaping it. And once again, even if you can pinpoint exactly when it happened, It doesn't matter. You still have to deal with it. But once again, for most of you, notice you cannot detect that place of willpower of saying, yes, I will now henceforth have a negative opinion about so and so and so. Can you? How responsible are you of your psychic field? How responsible are you of the opinions that you hold? Are they really your opinions? Do you really like what you like? Or have you just become addicted to it? Have you been so exposed to other people's opinions and social media and this and that that you can't actually grasp what is yours and what isn't? Isn't that a dangerous thing? The path of awakening, the path of being a proper human being, the path of enlightenment, the path of spirituality, the path to truth, the path to God, whatever you want to call it, is the path of consciousness, is the path of becoming conscious, and it is a spectrum. You become at least one droplet of more conscious each and every single day. You do a little bit more, stay a little bit longer, try a little bit harder, stay a little longer, try a little harder each time. So if you truly are committed to this, when you adopt something without you realizing, that is an intruder, uninvited intruder, and they are gaslighting you. They are making you believe that you are those thoughts, that you are those ideas. Isn't that a sad state to be in? Do you understand how having negative opinions about things is such a primitive, limited, obscure, subconscious, and therefore evil thing to experience? Why do I say opinion? Maybe I should make another video about that. But opinions are, think about it, opinions are nothing but thoughts. Is an opinion the truth? No. If it were, it wouldn't be an opinion, it would be the truth. The truth is the truth, an opinion is an opinion. An opinion is in your mind. Opinion is in your mind and nowhere else. Even if 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people, 1,billion people have the same opinion, it is nothing but mind. It doesn't mean it's the truth. The truth is the truth and there are no opinions about it. Understand that discernment. So having any negative opinion, and ultimately any opinion for that matter about anything, is a limit to enlightenment. But that's perhaps another level and another video to talk about. But for now, let's just focus on that evil, subconscious, dark thing of having a negative opinion about something. It is an uninvited intruder that has come to do with you whatever it wants. Do you really want to be an agent of darkness, an agent of evil? Do you not want to take responsibility for your psychic field, for your psychic space, and say, I will not allow anything that I do not invite into my space to direct my life? Because my friend, as I've explained already, if you are not conscious about this, think about it. You're not conscious, meaning you don't know, then you're equally unable to be conscious about how much this is steering your life in its own direction without you knowing. Is that not being a zombie? Is that not being an agent of darkness? Is that not being an agent of something that you did not deliberately choose? Be deliberate. How do we fix this? How do we harvest the benefit of Saturn in our lives? By embracing fear, by accepting delays, by accepting obstacles. Saturn does not deny or remove, it just delays. That's not so bad. I'd rather be a billionaire at 50 and a millionaire by 40 and in my mid-30s do really good for myself than having all of that happen when I'm 15, 20, 25. Especially like as much as I try to be smart, intelligent, patient, and wise, I know that having that amount of power, wealth could have probably ruined my life when I was younger. And that is the truth for the vast majority of people. Think about it. Most people who become very wealthy in a very young age don't know what to do with it. Some do, and some make it. And I am very happy for them. That is actually very amazing. I admire that. But for the majority of people, think about yourself. When you're 20 years old, now you're a billionaire. Will you be able to withstand what that means, the pressure of having that much power, that much freedom? Are you conscious enough? I find that to be a fascinating line of thought, and to be honest, we don't know what would happen, but you will be able, however, to discern, maybe I wouldn't have done so good for myself. I do feel myself that I am happier now, that I'm making things grow for myself and my life more and more and more with the wisdom that I have. And it has taught me a lot of patience, even though I've been working all my life, since childhood. And when I say childhood, I don't mean I've been working since I was a teenager. I've been working since I was 10 years old, selling things from the floor with a little mat on the floor. But that's a story for another time. Let me look at my script. Right, so how do we overcome this problem of being so subconscious? How do we harvest the benefit of Saturn in our lives. Yes, by embracing the fear, by being patient, but I also want to invite each and every single one of you to do the antidote of this. What is the antidote? You may already infer it, which is be very deliberate about your thinking. Stop yourself in your tracks mid thought and say, is this the thought that I want to think? And if it is, if you have a light bulb shining and you realize that is a very good idea, take a deep breath and deliberately input, import, invest more energy into that idea. If it is not an idea that you wanted to adopt, and if it's not an idea that is uplifting, that is conscious, then aren't you able to stop that thought in its tracks, take a deep breath and say, let me now, because I have mind power, generate a different idea for me in this moment. Catch yourself with your coworkers, with the people that cross your path in the street every day. Notice if you have a negative experience, embrace that, rejoice and say, why do I feel negative about this coworker? Let me, from this moment on, have a positive idea about this coworker right now. Are you not brave enough to do that? Is your ego too strong that you are not able to change the way you perceive? Aren't you able to admit that you are not above correction and that you may actually only see 1% of that person that is just maybe negative, but the other 99% is good? Aren't you able to understand that also that person is operating as an agent of darkness, as are you if you're not conscious enough? And that person may also have their own negative opinions about things that are also steering their lives into a direction. Can't you be a little bit more conscious and compassionate and say, maybe that person does not want that for their lives? Why? Because that person is the same as me in my heart. Therefore, that person aspires for goodness. That person aspires for truth. So if they have a negative opinion about me, that should not allow me to regurgitate and continue the cycle of ignorance, darkness, violence, and evil, and now have a generate a negative opinion about them, or accept their negative opinion about myself and then take it, and then the cycle perpetuates. Don't you want to be responsible for your life? If you want to harvest success in this life, health, happiness, adopt the doctrine of Saturn and embrace Saturn as what it is, ferocious and scary and terrifying as it may be, and rejoice and say, I want to have a truth about this. If I have a negative opinion, let me at least have an opinion that is a bit more open. Perhaps, hopefully, a positive opinion. And then ultimately, let me foster in myself, let me cultivate in myself something that allows me to have a truthful encounter, a truthful experience is not the right word, but for now, let's use the word experience. Let me have a truthful experience about this. Let me experience a little bit of the truthfulness of the matter of Saturn. So, Saturn has a bad rep, but it need not be that way. Nothing that has a bad rep is fully understood. And anything that you have a negative opinion about, you, my friend, are dishonoring that. Do you want to be a person without honor? Rejoice and change the way you are thinking about things. Be responsible about your psychic field. Is it not such a precious field? Can you not understand how much you can achieve if you become responsible for it? Is it not such a beautiful thing? Are planets negative and evil? No, they are deities. They want to bless you. They want to give you something powerful, but you need to connect with the core of what that planet is and what it can do for you in your life and steer your life in the right direction, so you are not to have a negative opinion about Saturn or anything at all. Don't let the subconscious be invading your psychic field. Expel that and consciously input the thoughts that you have. What is it that is holding you back? Whose wrong opinions and negative opinions are collapsing and obscuring the sun, the light, the soul, the spirit within you, that it is not allowing it to shine forth? Reflect on this. This is what I wish for you to reflect and understand that you are the master of your mind. And if you can master your mind, you can master this physical experience that we live in. So, to wrap it up, my recommendation to you is to be really, really on the lookout and stop yourself. Train yourself to detect, I am holding negative opinions about politics, about foreigners, about nationals, right? I live in Mexico. I live a lot of foreigners, and frequently, sadly, I hear people from this country or that country saying, yeah, back in my homeland, people are so and so. Are they really? So catch yourself and question yourself, when did you start thinking like that? Can you rewind and replace this? Notice that if you continue trying, because again, Saturn wants you to try it, you may not achieve this in one go. If you think you're going to, then you're going to fail in this or any endeavor in your life. So allow yourself to rewind and question, did I allow that thought? Did I generate that thought? Is that a thought that I should have? Isn't that someone else's thoughts? If it's a thought that you did actually accept and it's from 10 years ago, shouldn't you review it? Anything that's 10 years old, is it really relevant in today's world? Ask yourself. So today's video is for you to reflect and be more responsible and be more lovingly caretaker of your psychic field, of your mind, of your precious opinions, and to achieve health, prosperity, and success. To understand the blessing of Saturn that can come for you in your life. That is my hope for you, my friend. So that is all I want to say for now. So if this sounds like something you want to do, if this sounds interesting, if this video has been helpful for you, then please leave a comment below, like, share, and subscribe, and tell me what you would like to hear me talk about next, whether it's in Vedic astrology, spirituality, or anything of that matter. I'll be happy to hear your comments and recommendations. Once again, thank you so much. I wish you a fantastic week ahead. Take good care, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.